The sun set over the tall buildings that once made up Seoul's business district. Now these buildings served the Vecran Empire. Lights flickered on as the day shift of human workers shuffled out and the night shift trudged in. Subject 7249 moved with the crowd. His plain gray uniform was dirty from the day's work. His eyes stayed down, focused on the cracked pavement. The chip in his neck pulsed softly, keeping his thoughts simple and his memories locked away. "Move faster," clicked a tall insect-like overseer. Its 4 arms gestured sharply while its bulbous eyes scanned the workers. Subject 7249 did not know why he should fear the 8-foot creatures. He just knew that he did. Everyone did. The human workers picked up their pace. Inside the processing center, Subject 7249 took his place at a sorting station. His hands moved without much thought, separating strange alien metals by color and weight. The work was simple. The chip made sure he could focus only on simple tasks. Hours passed. The night grew deeper. Subject 7249's stomach growled, but mealtime was still 2 hours away. He continued working as the massive machines hummed around him. A small error. He dropped a piece of blue metal. As he bent to pick it up, he noticed a small crack in the wall near the floor. Through the crack, 2 eyes stared back at him. Subject 7249 froze. The eyes belonged to an animal, a dog. Small, thin, with dirty brown fur. It should not be here. Animals were not allowed in Vecran facilities. The overseer clicked from across the room. Subject 7249 quickly picked up the dropped metal and went back to work, but his eyes kept drifting to the crack in the wall. When the meal bell finally rang, Subject 7249 shuffled with the others to receive his food. A small bowl of gray protein paste. It tasted like nothing. It kept him alive. He ate half of his meal quickly. Then, making sure no overseers were watching, he slipped away from the eating area and back toward his workstation. The crack in the wall was still there. So were the eyes. Subject 7249 knelt down and pushed the rest of his food through the crack. A small wet nose touched his fingers. Something strange happened then. The chip in his neck seemed to buzz differently. For just a moment, a flash of something went through his mind. A memory. A dog. A different dog. Vigor. Black and white. Running in grass. Laughing. A name. The moment passed. The chip regained control. Subject 7249 stood up, confused by what had happened. He returned to the eating area before anyone noticed he was gone. That night in the sleeping barracks, Subject 7249 lay on his thin mat and stared at the ceiling. Other workers snored around him. The barracks held 500 humans in rows of sleeping mats. No privacy, no possessions, just rest before more work. The strange moment with the dog kept replaying in his mind. The chip should prevent such thoughts. Yet somehow, the memory had slipped through. Park Da-hyun. That was the name that had flashed in his mind. Was that his name? Not Subject 7249, but Park Da-hyun. The next day, he worked slower than usual. The overseer noticed and clicked angrily at him. Subject 7249, or was it Da-hyun, tried to focus better, but his mind kept going back to the dog. During the midday meal break, he saved half his food again. This time, he was more careful as he slipped back to the crack in the wall. The dog was waiting. It wagged its tail slightly when it saw him. "Here," he whispered. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. Workers rarely spoke. The chip made talking feel unnecessary. As the dog ate, Subject 7249 felt the buzz in his neck change again. Another flash, a woman's face, smiling, saying that name, Da-hyun, a home. These were his memories, trying to break through. "You there, what are you doing?" An overseer had spotted him. Subject 7249 stood quickly. "Checking wall damage. Will report it." The overseer's antennae twitched. It stared at him with compound eyes that reflected his face back in dozens of tiny images. Return to eating area, it finally clicked. That night, Da-hyun, he was becoming more sure that was his name, lay awake again. He could feel something changing. The dog had triggered something in his mind, something the chips couldn't fully control. 2 sleeping mats away, a female worker watched him. Subject 8116. She had seen him with the dog. The next day, she approached him during work. Animals, she whispered as they passed each other. They help us remember. Before he could respond, she was gone, back to her station. But she had left something in his hand. A small piece of paper with writing on it. More animals below. Level B3. Tonight. Da-hyun closed his fist around the note. For the first time in years, he felt something new growing inside him. Hope. Da-hyun waited until the sleep cycle was at its deepest point. The lights in the barracks were dim blue, and the breathing of 500 humans filled the air. Slowly, he sat up on his mat. 2 rows away, Subject 8116 was already watching him. She nodded once and stood up. They moved silently between the sleeping workers. The overseers would be fewer at this hour, but still present. Getting caught would mean punishment, or worse. Follow, whispered Subject 8116. Her voice was soft, but clear. They slipped through the barracks door and into the dim hallway. Twice they had to hide as patrol drones buzzed by. The small machines couldn't think for themselves, but they would alert the overseers if they spotted workers out of place. Subject 8116 led them to a service door marked B3. It was locked, but she pulled out a small piece of metal and worked it into the lock. "Where did you learn that?" Da-hyun asked. "Don't know. My hands remember, even if I don't." She pushed the door open. "This way." They went down 3 flights of stairs. The air grew cooler and damper. This level was used for storage, not regularly patrolled. At the bottom, Subject 8116 stopped and looked at Da-hyun. "My name," she said slowly, as if testing the words. "I think it's Jisoo." "Jisoo," Da-hyun repeated. "I'm Da-hyun." Saying their real names made the chips in their necks buzz angrily, but the feeling passed more quickly than before. Jisoo led him through dark hallways filled with alien crates. The Vecran writing on them glowed faintly green. Finally, they reached a wall that looked solid, but Jisoo pushed a section, and it swung inward. Da-hyun's eyes widened. The hidden room was large, perhaps once a break room for human workers before the invasion. Now it was filled with animals. The dog he had fed was there, along with 5 other dogs of different sizes. Several cats moved silently along shelves. A cage in the corner held 3 birds. In a box lined with cloth, a rabbit and her babies nestled together. "How?" Da-hyun asked, amazed. "Started with 1 cat," Jisoo said, kneeling to pet a gray tabby that rubbed against her legs. "Found her hurt. Something made me help her. Then I found this place. Then more animals came. They find each other. They find us." As Da-hyun stepped fully into the room, the dog he had fed ran to him. It wagged its tail and pressed against his legs. The feeling was overwhelming. Warmth, connection, and then memories. A park. Running. A woman calling his name. A man laughing. Family. "It happens to you too," Jisoo said, watching his face. "The memories. They come back when the animals are near." Da-hyun nodded, his throat tight with emotion he hadn't felt in years. He sat on the floor, and the dog jumped into his lap. "Why?" he asked, stroking the dog's dirty fur. "Why do the animals help us remember?" Jisoo sat beside him. "Not sure yet, but I think I was a student. Animals. Learning about animals. A veterinarian," Da-hyun suggested. "Yes." Jisoo's eyes lit up. "I was studying to help animals, and now they help us." They spent an hour in the hidden room. With each passing minute, Da-hyun felt his thoughts growing clearer. The chip still controlled him, but its grip seemed weaker here, surrounded by Earth's creatures. "There are others," Jisoo said as they prepared to leave. "Workers who remember more when they're with the animals. I bring them here in small groups." "How many?" 15 now. Soon 16 with you." They carefully made their way back to the barracks. Just before they reached the door, Jisoo stopped him. "Tomorrow, bring worker from Station 47. He was scientist, I think. He has theories about the chips." Da-hyun nodded. As they slipped back to their sleeping mats, he felt different. No longer just Subject 7249. He was Da-hyun, and he had a purpose now. The next day at work, Da-hyun watched Station 47. A thin man with glasses worked there, sorting strange alien devices. Subject 2981, according to his uniform tag. During the meal break, Da-hyun managed to sit near him. "Animals in B3, he whispered. "They help us remember." Subject 2981's eyes widened slightly, but he gave no other reaction. He understood. That night, Da-hyun and Jisoo took Subject 2981 to the animal sanctuary. As soon as they entered, a small black cat jumped onto his shoulder. The man froze, then slowly reached up to touch the cat's fur. "Ta-won," he whispered suddenly. "Lee Ta-won. I'm Lee Ta-won." Jisoo smiled. "Welcome, Ta-won." Ta-won looked around the room in wonder. This is remarkable. The neural suppressors, they must be affected by something the animals produce, a frequency or field we can't detect consciously. His words came more easily than most workers. His memories seemed to be returning faster. "I studied electromagnetic fields before the invasion," Ta-won continued, stroking the cat. "If we can understand how the animals disrupt the chips, maybe we can." He didn't finish the sentence, but the implication hung in the air between them. Maybe they could break free. Maybe they could remember who they were. Maybe they could fight back. For the first time since the Vecran arrived, hope had a real shape and form, and it had begun with a simple act of kindness to a stray dog. Over the next 2 weeks, Da-hyun, Jisoo, and Ta-won brought more workers to the animal sanctuary. Each time, the same thing happened. The workers would touch the animals, and memories would begin to return. Names first, then skills, then bits of their past lives. The sanctuary grew crowded. 23 humans now knew about it. They came in small groups during different sleep cycles. The animals seemed to grow healthier too, their fur shinier, their eyes brighter. The Vecran made a mistake. Ta-won said one night as they sat in a circle. A large dog rested its head on his lap, and 2 cats curled nearby. They designed the neural chips for their brains, not ours. "What do you mean?" asked Da-hyun. Ta-won adjusted his glasses, a habit from his past life that was returning. "The Vecran are hive-minded. They think as one. Their brains don't form emotional bonds the way ours do." Jisoo nodded. Her memories of veterinary school were becoming clearer. Humans and earth animals evolved together for thousands of years. Dogs can read human faces better than any other species. Cats adapted to live with us. We changed each other. "Exactly," said Ta-won. "The chips block our higher thoughts, but they can't break the deep connection we have with animals. That bond is too old, too basic in our brains." A woman named Eunji spoke up. She had been Subject 5734 until 3 days ago. "So the animals are like keys. They unlock parts of our minds." "Yes," said Ta-won. "And I think we can use that. With enough time around the animals, we might break free completely." But time was something they didn't have much of. That morning, 3 overseers had stopped a worker who was moving too slowly. They had checked his chip and taken him away. No one had seen him since. "They're noticing the changes," Da-hyun said. "We need to move faster." Ta-won had been working on something in secret. From his pocket, he pulled out a small device made from stolen alien parts. "I've been studying the technology from my workstation," he explained. "This might amplify what the animals do naturally." The device was small, with a green light on top. When Tai-1 turned it on, it made no sound, but all the animals in the room suddenly looked up. "They can sense it," Jisoo said in wonder. Tai-1 placed the device in the center of their circle. "Everyone, touch an animal and focus on your memories." They did as he asked. Da-hyun put his hand on the brown dog that had first found him. Jisoo held the gray cat. Others reached for rabbits, birds, or the other dogs and cats. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then Da-hyun gasped. Memories flooded his mind, not in pieces this time, but in a steady stream. He saw his home, his job as a software engineer, his parents, his sister. He remembered the day the Vecron ships darkened the sky. The fighting, the surrender, the processing centers where they put the chips in everyone's necks. Looking around, he could see the others experiencing the same thing. Some cried silently. Others whispered names of loved ones. Tai-1's device glowed brighter. "It's working," Tai-1 whispered. "The device amplifies the effect." But then the light on the device flickered and went out. The flood of memories slowed to a trickle, then stopped. The chips reasserted control, though less strongly than before. "What happened?" Jisoo asked, wiping tears from her face. "Power source is too weak," Tai-1 said. "I need better components, and we need a bigger space. If we could affect more workers at once." "The main processing hub," said a quiet voice. It came from a new member, Subject 1022, who had been brought in just yesterday. "I worked security before. I remember the facility layout now. The main hub has a central transmitter. If we could use your device there, it might affect everyone in the building." "Who are you?" Da-hyun asked. "Yoon Sang-min," the man said. "Military, special forces." Hope spread through the group. A former soldier could help them plan. But so could the animals, Da-hyun realized. "The birds," he said suddenly. "They could scout for us, fly through vents, see where overseers are. And the cats, they're quiet. They could move through tight spaces." Jisoo's eyes widened. "Yes. In vet school, I studied animal training. I might remember enough to teach them to help us." For the first time, they began to plan not just how to remember, but how to fight back. The animals that had helped them find themselves would now help them find freedom. As they left the sanctuary that night, moving quietly back to their barracks, Da-hyun felt the chip in his neck. It still controlled him, but its grip was weaker now. In his mind, he held onto his full name, his memories, and the new plan forming among the awakening humans. They had forgotten that humans never stood alone. We had shaped dogs from wolves to be our companions. The animal sanctuary now buzzed with quiet activity. Jisoo spent hours with the birds, training them to recognize the shapes and sounds of the Vecron overseers. The birds were learning fast, too fast for normal birds. "Look at this," Jisoo said to Da-hyun one night. She held up her finger, and a small brown sparrow landed on it. "Watch." She made a series of clicking sounds with her tongue. Similar to the way the overseers communicated, the bird tilted its head, then made the exact same pattern of clicks back to her. "That's amazing," Da-hyun said. "How did you teach it that?" "I didn't," Jisoo admitted. "It learned on its own. All the animals are getting smarter. It's like they know what we need them to do." Across the room, Tai-1 worked on his device. He had managed to steal better parts from his workstation, risking punishment to smuggle them out. Sang-min stood nearby, drawing a map of the facility from memory. "The main hub is here," Sang-min said, pointing to his rough drawing. 4 overseers guard it at all times. Inside is the central transmitter that controls all the neural chips in this sector. A young woman approached them. She had been Subject 5734, but now they knew her as Han Yunji. Before the invasion, she had worked at a biotech company. "I've noticed something strange about the animals," Yunji said. "Their increased intelligence." Jisoo asked. More than that, Yunji said. I think they're evolving, changing in response to our condition. She pulled out a small notebook made from scraps of paper. I've been watching them. The dogs can now solve problems that would challenge a very smart dog on Earth before the invasion. The cats move so quietly that even the sensors don't detect them. And the birds. As if to prove her point, one of the birds flew over and landed on the map Sangmin had drawn. It hopped to a specific spot and pecked at it. What's there? Dahyun asked. Sangmin looked closer. A ventilation shaft. One big enough for the birds to fly through. The bird chirped once, as if saying yes. This is beyond normal animal behavior, Yunji said. I think the alien's neural technology has had an unexpected side effect. It might have created a connection between us and the animals, a psychic link that's growing stronger. Is that possible? Dahyun asked. The Vecran don't understand Earth biology, Yunji explained. Their chips were designed for their hive mind, but humans evolved alongside these animals for thousands of years. Our brains are wired to connect with them in ways the Vecran can't comprehend. As they talked, a new worker arrived at the sanctuary. She had been Subject 9081, but with the help of Totherwan's device and time with the animals, she was starting to remember her name. Ba Sua. I worked with neural interfaces, Sua told them as she stroked a cat that had immediately jumped into her lap. Before the invasion, I designed medical chips to help paralyzed patients move again. Taiwan's eyes lit up. Then you might understand the Vecran technology better than any of us. As Suat examined Taiwan's device, Dahyun noticed something else. The stray dog that had first found him was now watching the door to the sanctuary. It growled softly. Someone's coming, Dahyun warned. Everyone froze. They weren't expecting any new workers tonight. The animals sensed the tension. Cats slipped into hiding places. Birds flew to high perches. The dogs gathered near the humans, ready to protect them. The door opened slowly. A tall figure stepped in. For one terrifying moment, Dahyun thought it was an overseer, but it was a human worker, one they didn't recognize. Subject 4209, the man said. But I'm remembering now. Jun Hajin. I followed her. He pointed at Jisoo. I needed to know if it was true, that we could remember who we are. As Hajin stepped further into the room, something remarkable happened. The animals didn't hide from him. Instead, a small rabbit hopped forward and sniffed his foot. The moment it touched him, Hajin gasped. I remember more now, he said, his eyes wide. I was an environmental scientist. I studied how animals adapt to changing conditions. Yunji stepped forward. Then you need to see this. She showed him her notes on the animal's behavior. As Hajin looked through the notes, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed in the hallway outside. What's happening? Jisoo asked, fear in her voice. Sangmin moved to the door, listening. The overseers. They're conducting an unscheduled inspection. All workers are being ordered back to barracks for chip checks. Dahyun felt cold fear. If the overseers checked their chips now, they would find that the neural suppression was weakening. They would know humans were waking up. We need to go back, Sangmin said. If we're missing during inspection, they'll search for us. But the animals, Jisoo said, we can't leave them. We won't, Dahyun promised. The animals helped us remember. Now they'll help us survive. As the alarms continued to wail, the humans and animals began to prepare. The resistance was no longer just about remembering who they were. Now it was about fighting for their freedom. And they would need every ally that they could get, human and animal alike. The alarm stopped as suddenly as it had started. The humans in the sanctuary held their breath, listening. False alarm, Sangmin said finally. But they're growing suspicious. We're running out of time. Taiwan looked down at his device. This is ready, but we need to get it to the central hub to affect everyone. Then we go tonight, Dahyun said. The others stared at him. We have no choice. If they do real chip checks tomorrow, they'll find us. Sang-min nodded slowly. He's right. It's now or never. They formed a plan quickly. Sang-min would lead a small team to the central hub with Ta-Wan's device. Ji-Soo would coordinate the animals. The others would create distractions in different parts of the facility. Take this, Ji-Soo said, handing Da-hyun a small bird. It was the sparrow that could mimic the overseer's clicks. He can warn you if overseers are coming. As they prepared, Sua worked with Ta-Wan to make final adjustments to the device. If this works, she explained, it will send a pulse through the central transmitter. For a short time, maybe 15 minutes, all the neural chips will stop working. 15 minutes to wake up thousands of humans, Yunji said. And tell them who they really are, added Da-hyun. At midnight, they moved out. The facility was quieter during night shift, with fewer overseers on patrol. Da-hyun, Sang-min, and Ta-Wan formed the main team. The sparrow rode on Da-hyun's shoulder. 2 cats followed silently, able to squeeze through tight spaces ahead of them. Left here, Sang-min whispered, guiding them through service corridors that most workers never saw. His military memories were serving them well. Suddenly, the sparrow on Da-hyun's shoulder made a soft chirping sound. The group froze. The bird then made the clicking noise of an overseer, a warning. One of the cats slipped ahead, then returned and pawed at Sang-min's leg twice, their signal for 2 overseers approaching. In here, Sang-min whispered, pointing to a small maintenance closet. They squeezed inside just as 2 tall veteran overseers walked by, their mandibles clicking as they talked. Through a crack in the door, Da-hyun watched them pass. The bird had been right. When it was clear, they continued on. They had to move slowly, stopping whenever the animals warned them. But finally, they reached the outer door of the central hub. Now comes the hard part, Sang-min said. The central hub was guarded by 4 overseers, just as Sang-min had said. Inside, they could see the glowing blue pillar of the main transmitter. We need a distraction, Ta-Wan whispered. At that moment, alarms blared in a distant part of the facility. Their friends had started their part of the plan. 2 of the 4 overseers immediately left to investigate. Still 2 left, Da-hyun said. The sparrow on his shoulder suddenly flew off. It darted into the central hub, flying in circles and chirping loudly. The overseers looked up, confused. They had never seen a bird inside the facility before. As they watched the bird, the 2 cats slipped in behind them. One cat knocked over a stack of metal containers, creating a loud crash. When the overseers turned toward the sound, the second cat darted between the legs of one overseer, causing it to stumble into the other. Now, Sang-min said. They rushed in. Sang-min moved with surprising speed and skill. His military training had returned fully now. He grabbed a metal tool from a nearby table and struck the first overseer in its sensitive neck joint. The alien went down hard. The second overseer reached for an alarm panel, but Da-hyun was faster. He tackled the tall insect-like creature, surprising himself with his own strength and courage. They fell to the floor, the overseer's 4 arms trying to throw him off. The device, Da-hyun shouted as he struggled with the alien. Ta-Wan ran to the central transmitter. He attached his device to its base and activated it. The small box hummed to life, its green light growing brighter. The overseer beneath Da-hyun suddenly froze. Its compound eyes flickered as if confused. The neural link that connected all Vecrun was being disrupted by Ta-Wan's device. Sang-min finished securing the first overseer, then helped Da-hyun tie up the second. It's working, Ta-Wan said in wonder. The device was now pulsing with bright green light. The central transmitter's blue glow began to flicker and change color. Throughout the facility, the neural chips in every human's neck suddenly went silent. For the first time in years, thousands of minds were free. Da-hyun felt it like a wave washing over him. All his memories, clear and complete. His skills, his knowledge, his identity, all returned at once. Around him, he could see the same thing happening to Sangmin and Taiwan. Their faces changed, becoming more alive, more human. "We need to broadcast," Dahyun said. "Tell everyone what's happening before the effect wears off." Taiwan found the facility's communication system. His hands moved quickly over the alien controls, understanding them now with his full intelligence restored. "This is Lee Taiwan," he said into the microphone. His voice echoed throughout the entire building. "Remember who you are. The neural chips are disabled. We have 15 minutes of freedom. Spread the word. Humans are awakening." The resistance had struck its first blow, and it had started with a stray dog, a kind act, and the bond between humans and the animals who never forgot them. For 15 precious minutes, humans throughout the facility remembered who they were. Workers stopped their tasks. They called out their real names. They hugged each other and cried. Some began to run, looking for ways out. Others smashed alien equipment in sudden rage. In the central hub, Dahyun watched the timer on Taiwan's device counting down. 3 minutes left, Taiwan warned. Dahyun spoke again into the communication system. "This is not the end. This is just the beginning. Find level B3. Find the animals. They help us remember. Spread the word. Animals weaken the chips." As he finished speaking, the facility shook. A loud boom echoed through the halls. "What was that?" Dahyun asked. Sangmin looked at a monitor showing the outside landing pad. "Reinforcements. The Vecron hive knows something is wrong." On the screen, they saw a large ship landing. Its doors opened, and different Vecron emerged. Not the worker overseers they were used to, but larger ones with armor and weapons. "Combat units," Sangmin said grimly. "They're sending in specialists." The timer reached 0. Taiwan's device flickered and went dark. Throughout the facility, the neural chips activated again. But something was different. They didn't work as well as before. The brief freedom had changed something in the humans' minds. "We need to go," Sangmin said. "Back to the sanctuary." They ran, the animals leading the way. The sparrow flew ahead, returning with chirps that warned of approaching enemies. The cats found clear paths through the chaos. But the Vecron were everywhere now, grabbing workers and checking their chips. When they finally reached the animal sanctuary, Jisoo rushed to them. "Did it work?" "I felt it. I remembered everything." "It worked," Dahyun said. "But the Vecron responded faster than we expected. Combat units are here now." The sanctuary was crowded. More workers had found their way there during the 15 minutes of freedom, guided by those who already knew. Now nearly 50 humans huddled among the animals. "They're using stronger suppression methods," a woman said, rubbing her neck where the chip was implanted. "I can feel it trying to make me forget again." But in the sanctuary, surrounded by animals, the chips couldn't regain full control. Yeonji approached them, excitement on her face despite the danger. "Something amazing happened during those 15 minutes, she said. "The animals, they changed even more." She pointed to a corner where 3 birds were arranging small objects in a pattern. It looked almost like they were creating a map. "They're communicating with each other in new ways," Yeonji continued. "And not just with each other, with us. It's like the brief freedom strengthened the connection between humans and animals across the entire facility." Dahyun watched in amazement as a dog brought a small tool to Taiwan, exactly the one he needed to fix his device. "How did it know?" he asked. "I think Earth itself is fighting back," Yeonji said. "The planet's ecosystem evolved with us for millions of years. Maybe it's responding to the alien presence, using us and our animal companions as its defense system." A loud bang echoed through the facility. The door to the sanctuary shook as something hit it from outside. "They're searching systematically," Sangmin said. "They'll find us soon." Taiwan looked at his now-dead device. "We need more time. I could build something stronger, but not in minutes." "Then we split up," Dahyun decided. Multiple groups, multiple locations. We keep moving, keep spreading the word about the animals. Jisoo nodded. We can use the animals as messengers between groups. The birds can fly between areas. The cats can slip through vents and tight spaces. It was their only chance. They quickly divided into 6 smaller teams, each with a mix of humans and animals. They would hide in different parts of the massive facility, gathering supplies and recruits. Dahyun, Jisoo, and Taiwan formed one team, along with 3 others and a mix of animals. As they prepared to leave, they heard heavy footsteps approaching. The back way, Jisoo whispered, pointing to a vent that had been widened by the cats. They escaped just as the sanctuary door burst open. Through a crack, Dahyun saw armored veterans storm in, their weapons ready. But the sanctuary was empty of humans. His team crawled through the narrow passage. Behind them, other teams escaped through different routes, guided by animals who knew the hidden paths. Where do we go now? Jisoo asked when they reached a small storage room. Deeper, Dahyun said. The veteran built on top of human structures. There are old subway tunnels below, places they don't know about. As they moved through the shadows, Dahyun noticed something strange. The chips in their necks were still active, still trying to suppress their memories. But the effect was weaker than ever before, and not just because of the animals with them. Something had changed in the humans themselves. The brief taste of freedom had awakened something that could not be put back to sleep. The resistance had just begun, and the veteran would soon learn that Earth's defenders included more than just its human inhabitants. The old subway tunnels were dark and damp. Dahyun's group moved carefully through them, using small lights they had managed to take from the facility. Water dripped from the ceiling. The walls were covered with old human writing and newer marks made by small animals. I never knew these existed below the processing center, Jisoo whispered. The veteran built on top of our cities, Taiwan explained. They didn't bother to learn all the underground networks. Their group had been hiding in these tunnels for 3 days now. They had set up a small camp in an old maintenance room. The animals seemed comfortable here. The cats explored every corner, while the birds found high perches to rest on. A new member of their group sat quietly in a corner. He had been Subject 3477, but now remembered his name was Choi Minho. Before the invasion, he had studied smart birds like ravens and crows. Look at them, Minho said, pointing to 3 large black ravens perched near the ceiling. They're talking to each other. The ravens made soft sounds and moved their heads in patterns. It did look like they were having a conversation. What are they saying? Dahyun asked. I don't know exactly, Minho admitted, but watch this. He made a series of soft clicks. The ravens turned to look at him. Then one flew down and landed on his arm. It made similar clicks back to him. I've been working with them, Minho explained. They can memorize the veteran patrol routes. They fly through the vents, watch the aliens, then come back and report. Report? How? Jisoo asked. Minho smiled. They show me. Watch. He cleared a space on the dusty floor. The raven hopped down and began to walk in specific patterns. Its feet made marks in the dust. It's drawing the patrol route, Minho explained. See, this is the main hallway. These X marks are where veteran guards stand, and these circles show the times when they change positions. Everyone stared at the bird's drawing. It was simple but clear. That's impossible, Taiwan whispered. Ravens are smart, but not this smart. Something is changing them, Minho said. All the animals are evolving faster than should be possible. The veteran technology must have triggered something in Earth's ecosystem. A small radio they had stolen crackled to life. It was Sang-min's voice. His group was hiding in another part of the tunnels. Patrol update, he said quietly. Combat units are using new scanners. They can detect human life signs through walls now. But we've discovered something. The dogs can smell the scanners. They growl about 30 seconds before a scanner gets close. That gives us time to move, Da-hyun said. Good. There's something else, Sang-min continued. Wild animals are coming into the city. Wolves have been seen near the outer walls. And other creatures too. Foxes, deer, even bears. Bears? Jisoo asked in surprise. Why would they come to the city? I don't know, Sang-min said. But they avoid the Vecran and seem to be looking for humans. After the radio call ended, they sat in silence, thinking about this new information. Then a dog near the tunnel entrance began to growl softly. Scanner, Da-hyun warned. Everyone quickly gathered their things. But before they could move deeper into the tunnels, the dog stopped growling. It turned its head, ears perked up, listening. Then it wagged its tail. That's not a Vecran, Jisoo said. A moment later, a figure appeared in the tunnel entrance. It was human. A woman they didn't recognize. Her clothes were dirty and torn, but she wasn't wearing a worker's uniform. Behind her came more people, 10, maybe 15 of them. Who are you? Da-hyun asked. Free humans, the woman said, from outside the processing center. I'm Kang Do-yun. I worked in communications before the invasion. We've been hiding in the mountains. How did you find us? Ta-won asked. Do-yun pointed behind her. A large gray wolf stepped into view. Everyone except Do-yun tensed. The animals led us, she explained. Wild ones started coming to our camp a week ago. This wolf brought us here, straight to you. The wolf walked forward, calm and unafraid. It stopped in front of Da-hyun and looked at him with intelligent eyes. It's the same connection, Minho said excitedly. The same bond that's helping our animals remember us. It's spreading to wild ones too. Do-yun nodded. We've seen it happening everywhere. Animals working together in ways they never did before. Predators and prey side by side. All of them helping humans hide from the Vecran. She pulled out a small device from her pocket. And we've been working on something. A way to boost what the animals are doing naturally. The device looked more advanced than Taewon's. Do-yun explained that her group had raided a small Vecran outpost and stolen technology. The combined groups set up a larger camp in an old subway station. Humans who had been hiding outside brought food and supplies. The animals helped carry things and kept watch. A strange mix of pets and wild creatures now worked together. Dogs alongside wolves, house cats with foxes. Ta-won and Do-yun spent hours combining their technologies. They modified the devices that disrupted the neural chips, making them stronger and smaller. Da-hyun watched as Lee Ta-won carefully examined a stolen piece of Vecran technology under a makeshift light. I think I understand now, Ta-won said, looking up with excitement in his eyes. The Vecran aren't just aliens with advanced technology. They're a hive mind. Like insects? Jisoo asked. Yes, but much more complex. Ta-won explained. Each Vecran is part of a larger consciousness. They think together, communicate instantly across distance. He pointed to the alien device. This isn't just a weapon or a tool. It's part of their communication network. They need constant connection to function properly. Sang-min joined them, bringing maps of the processing center that the ravens had helped create. The birds had watched the aliens and remembered their movements with perfect accuracy. The Vecran maintained their hive mind through nodes, Ta-won continued. Central points where their communications are processed and distributed. That's why they built the main hub with the transmitter we used before. So if we disrupt the nodes, Da-hyun began. We disrupt their ability to think and act as one, Ta-won finished. They become confused, disorganized. Yoon Sang-min studied the maps carefully. There are 3 main nodes in this sector, he said, pointing to specific locations. Here, here, and here. Each controls a different part of their operation. Minho's ravens had identified these points by watching where the Vecran gathered most often and where their communication devices were strongest. We need to hit all 3 at once, Sang-min said. Create enough chaos to free the rest of the workers. As they planned, Jisoo came in with the wolf that had led Du Yun's group to them. The large gray animal walked directly to Da Hyun and sat beside him, as if it wanted to be part of the meeting. "The wolves have been scouting the outer perimeter," Jisoo said. "They found a way into the processing center that the Vecran don't know about. An old service tunnel that was hidden by rubble." Da Hyun looked at the wolf with new respect. "How do you know what they found?" Jisoo smiled. "They showed me. They led me to the entrance." The dogs translated, in a way. "It's hard to explain. The connection between us and the animals is growing stronger every day." Suddenly, Da Hyun had a new idea. He picked up one of the neural chips they had removed from a damaged Vecran drone. "The chips they put in our necks," he said. "What if we could reprogram them? Instead of blocking our thoughts, they could send disruptive signals directly into the Vecran network." Taiwan's eyes widened. Turn their own technology against them. It could work. They called for Ba Sua. Before the invasion, she had worked with neural interfaces for medical purposes. Now she examined the chip carefully. "The Vecran chips send signals one way, from their network into our brains," she explained. "But with some modifications, we could reverse the signal path." "How long would it take?" Sangmin asked. "With enough chips to work with, maybe 2 days," Sua said. Sangmin nodded. "Then we have our plan. 3 teams, 3 targets. We disrupt their nodes, then broadcast a signal through the modified chips that creates feedback in their hive mind." As they discussed details, animals gathered around them. Dogs watched attentively. Cats perched on high places, their eyes never missing a movement. Birds listened from above. Even the wild animals, the wolves, foxes, and a deer that had recently joined them, seemed to understand. "Look at them," Jisoo whispered. "They know what we're planning." One of the ravens flew down and landed on the map. It used its beak to point at something they had missed, a small ventilation duct that led directly into one of the node rooms. "Perfect entry point for the birds to carry the disruption devices," Minho said, smiling at the raven. That night, as most humans slept, Da Hyun sat awake. The wolf lay beside him, its yellow eyes watching the darkness. From somewhere above, an owl hooted. Another lookout, another ally. Da Hyun thought about how much had changed. Just weeks ago, he had been Subject 7249, a mindless worker with no memory or hope. Now he led a resistance made of humans and animals working together against the alien hive mind. The Vecran had conquered Earth thinking that humans were the only threat. They had calculated wrong. The planet itself was fighting back through its most successful relationship, the ancient bond between humans and the creatures they had lived alongside for thousands of years. Tomorrow they would strike, not as separate species, but as Earth's united defense against the invaders who had tried to break the oldest connection of all. Dawn broke over the ruins of Seoul. Inside the old subway station, humans and animals prepared for battle. Sua had modified dozens of neural chips. Taiwan and Du Yun had built small disruptor devices. 3 teams were ready. "Remember the plan," Sangmin said to the gathered resistance. "Team 1 takes the north node. Team 2 takes the east node. Team 3 takes the central node. We strike at exactly noon." Da Hyun led Team 1 with Jisoo. Sangmin led Team 2. Du Yun led Team 3. Each team had humans, domestic animals, and wild creatures. The ravens would carry messages between teams. The wolves would lead the way through the secret tunnel. As they moved out, Da Hyun felt the weight of what they were about to do. Not just for the humans in this facility, but for all of Earth. The old service tunnel was narrow and dark. The wolves walked ahead, their eyes seeing better than human eyes. Behind them came the resistance fighters. No one spoke. Even the animals moved silently. When they reached the end of the tunnel, they split into 3 groups. Each team headed toward their target. Da Hyun and Jisoo's team followed a large black dog through maintenance corridors. When Vecran patrols came near, the foxes created distractions in other areas. The ravens flew ahead as scouts, returning with warnings of danger. Almost there, Da-hyun whispered as they approached the north node. 2 Vecran guards stood at the entrance. Before the humans could decide what to do, the wild animals acted. A wolf howled from one corridor. When the guards looked that way, 2 dogs rushed from another direction, barking loudly. The confused guards followed the noise. "Now," said Jisoo. They hurried into the node room. Inside, strange alien machines hummed with energy. Taiwan had shown them where to place the disruptors. Jisoo quickly attached the first device, while Da-hyun kept watch. "Ready," she said. Da-hyun checked his watch. 2 minutes until noon. Meanwhile, across the facility, the other teams reached their targets. Ravens carried messages confirming everyone was in position. The animals formed protective circles around the humans as they worked. At exactly noon, Da-hyun activated their disruptor. Simultaneously, the other teams did the same. The effect was immediate. Alarms blared. Lights flickered. Throughout the processing center, the Vecran stumbled and clicked in confusion as their hive-mind connection weakened. Phase 2, Da-hyun said. Jisoo activated the modified neural chips. The small devices began broadcasting a feedback signal directly into the Vecran network. Instead of the aliens controlling human minds, human technology was now disrupting alien minds. They ran back toward the central hub, where the main transmitter stood. All teams were converging there for the final phase. Along the way, they saw workers standing still, their faces showing confusion as the neural suppression faded. "Remember," Da-hyun shouted to them. "Remember who you are." Some workers joined them, following the strange procession of humans and animals. Others began fighting back against the confused overseers. When they reached the central hub, they found chaos. Vecran combat units fired weapons wildly, unable to coordinate without their hive mind. The animals moved with incredible coordination, protecting the humans. Wolves tackled aliens. Birds blinded them with wing beats. Even small creatures like rats swarmed and bit at alien legs. In the center of the hub stood a tall Vecran, different from the others. Its exoskeleton was marked with complex patterns. A commander. As the resistance fighters approached, the commander raised all 4 hands. "Stop," it clicked in a way they somehow understood. "I wish to communicate." The animals growled but held their positions. Da-hyun stepped forward. "You enslaved us," he said. "You tried to make us forget ourselves." "We underestimated your world," the commander admitted. "In all our conquests across the galaxy, we never encountered a species with such a connection to other life forms. We thought you were alone, isolated. We were wrong." Around them, more humans poured into the hub as the neural chips failed completely. Years of suppressed memories and emotions returned in a flood. "You cannot win now," the commander said. "Your planet fights with you. We will retreat." Within hours, Vecran ships began lifting off from around the world. The hive mind had made its decision. Earth was not worth the cost. As the alien ships disappeared into the sky, humans everywhere emerged from control centers and processing facilities. The neural chips had stopped working entirely. Humanity remembered who they were. 1 week later, Da-hyun and Jisoo stood on a hillside overlooking the city. The Vecran buildings were being dismantled. New human structures were rising. Around them, animals gathered, both wild and domestic. The bond between species had grown stronger than ever before. "What do we do now?" Jisoo asked, stroking the gray wolf that had become her constant companion. "We rebuild," Da-hyun said, "but differently this time. We remember what saved us." Above them, birds flew in patterns never seen before, creating living communication networks. Dogs and wolves patrolled together, protecting human settlements. Cats kept watch from high places with new intelligence in their eyes. The animals that remembered humans when they couldn't remember themselves had become equal partners in Earth's future, and humanity would never forget that again.